What's up guys, this is Yasin, and today we're going to be going over Maze of the Master and kind of give you guys my insight on the set and how I really feel about it. So yeah, let's get right into it as soon as you smash the like and subscribe button, of course. Shoutouts to my Crystron and Blue Eye Spreadsheet. You can find them in my website, yacineygo.com. The link will always be at the very top of the description box below. Alright, okay, so starting off with the rares, we've got a bunch of cards that aren't really relevant for most people, but it is really cool to have access to, you know, Angel Statue as a rune and some other cards that you might have forgotten even existed. And I think there's also some new cards in here. I forgot which clear cards are new, maybe all of them except Clear Vice Dragon, I don't know. But I'll be honest with you, they all completely suck. They're actually really bad. They could have came out like 10 years ago and they wouldn't have changed anything just because this card right here, the Field Spell, is utter garbage. It's really, really bad. And honestly, most cards in this section are not really good, but they're nice reprints. It is interesting to see, you know, the Gladiator Beast reprints. This might be cool maybe for people trying to play the retro formats like Edison or something, I don't know. I don't know how expensive Heraclinos or how difficult it is to find, but right now you can find it for like less than $1, so it's probably super easy to find. But I guess you can get like a fresh, good quality one now. And then yeah, the Sword Soul reprints, whatever. Obviously, I did go over a bunch of cards really quick, but yeah, the Allure Queens, because we are getting Allure Dance, which means the new Allure Queen support. I'll be honest with you, again, it's not the best because it's very neg. You have to discard like so many cards for your cards to work. And then you just like full to one Ghost Ogre, one Veiler can hurt a lot. An Ash can hurt a lot. It's just not worth playing overall. But Chaotic Allure Queen is really good in White Forest with Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. And there are some nice combos that you can actually take advantage of in that deck, but they don't really require any of these cards to be played. So honestly, it's just a lot of copium. And you really have, you don't have to, you know, consider any of those cards. You can just discard all the new support. Yeah, Gladiator Beast reprints are also, you know, completely irrelevant. Maybe Laquari might be like a decent reprint, I'm not sure. Yeah, none of the cards here matter, even like these, whatever, again, they're nice reprints, but it only matters because there's new Odeon cards, right? There's no new Gladiator Beast cards. Yeah, the Buzzsaw Shark, whatever, that's actually kind of cool. And then a Winged Dragon of Ra Immortal Phoenix, that's the wrong one. Nobody cares about this one. Yeah, it's kind of useless. Thunder Dragon cards, I don't know why. Maybe because Konami plans on unlimiting Colossus completely on the next ban list. That actually could make sense, right? It is definitely a marketing strategy. And also makes even more sense considering the fact that we're getting this set Friday and we're getting the ban list on Sunday. Because it's right after the finals of YCS 3v3 Las Vegas. Which means that the cards that are getting printed in this set, they might have an impact, or rather a correlation with the ban list. So that's what I'm really getting at. The Thunder Dragon cards really have nothing to do here, but again, Colossus to 3 could make sense. The Sword Soul cards also completely irrelevant. I don't really see what they're doing here. Trickstar, it makes sense. It's because we're getting a new card, which is Trickstar Aqua Angel. It's a Trickstar and a Marincess monster, so that's actually really nice synergy. And then one of the best reprints here, if not probably the best, is Crystron Corion Gontrax. This card is going down in value now because this was one of the most expensive and hardest to find the Crystron card before the reprint. I think it was going for like $20 to $30, and now it's going to be worth absolutely nothing, like $1 or less, because it's going to get reprinted as a rare. So yeah, 2017 Raging Tempest Ultra Rare, if I recall correctly, all the way down to like a 2025 rare. That is insane. What a time to be alive. Crystron is now more budget than ever, and on top of that, it's a really good deck. So yeah, go check out my Crystron spreadsheet. Again, I can't recommend it enough. But anyways, the Sword Soul cards, like I said, nobody cares. They don't really have an impact on the game, even if, I don't know, there's nothing to unban or unlimit either, right? I feel like they have everything at full power, so it really changes nothing. Protoss is already a thing, and the deck is still kind of cheeks, even though there is some new support. It really just doesn't matter. Herald of Orange Light, I don't really see what this changes, other than the fact that maybe Ava is going to get unlimited. If it's not already, is Ava at 1 or something? Ava is at 2. Okay, so this means that Ava is going to 3, and then Sword Soul cards maybe are gonna get a boost. I don't even know. But yeah, the ABC cards, by the way, are really cool, but unfortunately, I will have to be honest here. It really pains me to say this, but they don't matter at the current moment because Artifact Lancia is collateral damage for them, since you can't summon ABC Dragon Buster or the XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon under Artifact Lancia, and also the deck loses Super Heartless Shifter, it loses to the Chummies, it loses to Droll, it loses to the Bestials, it loses to honestly every card imaginable on Earth, so that's my issue. It does play very well into like Nibiru, Veiler, Imperm, etc., those cards, it's much better. Actually, Ash is also a decent hatch-up to play against. And the Fiendsmith engine is very good in the deck because even though, yeah, you're locked under light monsters only, obviously the Fiendsmiths are all light, so that's completely fine by you. So yeah, there's some cool things that you can do in this deck. It's really cool. Recommend looking into it. I've made a spreadsheet on it, which, by the way, is a free spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet video, so you can check it out. But I don't know if it's like, yeah, it should be up to date, actually, because I wasn't playing with Beatrice, but I was playing with the Fiendsmith engine, and obviously you can't play this deck pure. It's gonna be utter garbage, I can guarantee you that. But yeah, some cute, irrelevant reprints like Dragoloo Beyond, Neo Galaxy Ice, Tachyon Dragon. Nobody gives two shits because you gotta summon this with a rank of magic. So yeah, cool story, bro. Light Dragon Attic Nister, this might be cool for the Razor players. And now for the super rares, again, a lot of trash. Like, nobody cares about the clear cards, whatever. They're all really, really bad. Earthbound Immortal Red Nova, I've really tried, you know, my best to make FTKs with this card. Didn't really work too much, and I'm sure it obviously can work. It's just that it's probably going to be like Ultra Copium, utter garbage. It's not worth it. However, this deck is a solid FTK deck, but it got demolished by the ban list, so it's not really like I'm trying to look into that direction. It really loses to a bunch of hatch-ups now. Bestials can be really rough on you, and then, yeah, even like Nibiru can be rough just because they nib their own monster so that you don't deal the finishing blow, and then your opponent survives and then you die because you don't have enough interruptions. But it is a really cool deck. It's one of my favorite decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because obviously I have watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. And yeah, Quattro was my favorite Psychopath on there. So yeah, Gimmick Puppet, Fiendish Knight, really cool card for the deck. But again, it's still Gimmick Puppet. It's still somewhat irrelevant. Some more Gladiator Beast cards that absolutely nobody gives two shits about. Trickstar Hoodie, I don't even know what the hell this is. Grieve Tablet is an Exodia card, and it is always treated as a Wedju card, which I think it means that it's searchable by the level 6 monster. Hold on a second. I don't know if it searches any Wedju card or... No, it searches Wedju Temple very specifically. Okay, so that completely defeats the purpose. But yeah, this is a 1-card combo in Exodia, or a 1.5 card combo, kind of, because you gotta have this and a monster that you can show that you can equip it to, and then you can search any Wedju card from your deck to your hand, so... Yeah, it's really unfortunate that the only other Wedju card is Wedju Temple, so now there's 2 ways of searching the field spell, which is not that great. But you can play Snake Eyes Doom Dragon in your deck, and honestly, that's kind of cool. So if you want to play the Millennium Engine as a splashable engine and then have access to like Zombie Vampire and stuff, or some rank 8s, you can definitely do that. Yeah, the only issue is that you're losing like 20,000 life points in the process because you gotta pay 2,000 every single time you use a Millennium Monster effect, but that's besides the point. I don't know what the hell this is, and I don't care. Allure Palace also doesn't really matter to me. The new Odeon cards are remarkable. I will give you a sneak peek of what I'm trying to do right now. I'm actually trying to combine them with with Raziel, of course. Oh my, Yaxine, you're so creative. I know, but don't worry about it. I'm not playing the Raziel field spell. I'm not playing a lot of Raziel cards overall. It's really minimalistic, and I think a lot of the Odeon cards are actually kind of useless. Even in the pure build, you're not going over some of them like very often. Like, for example, this one is kind of shit. Like, you gotta play the normal spell card that fuses. This one right here, Defense of the Temple, which is not the best. It's basically a going second card in a deck that already struggles to go second. So I don't really see how this is really gonna make the deck better, unless you're playing like the Winged Dragon of Ra version, which, let's be honest, is more casual than it is competitive. But yeah, if you want to play this, then go for it, I guess. But yeah, this is definitely a solid one. It's a Contact Fuse monster, and that has a really cool effect of being able to recycle back up to 3 Apophis traps with different names. So you gotta recycle, like, you gotta recycle all 3 of them. Embodiment of Apophis, the new one, as well as Apophis the Swamp Deity. This one does literally nothing. It's a normal monster. Like, actually a normal monster. And then this is a Negate. It's a really good one. And the other one is really just a set. I mean, I was gonna say a searcher for a trap, but I guess it's a setter, right? So that plays around Ash and Jewel and stuff like that. It's cool, but nobody cares. But yeah, this card's really cute. It's also like a baby Statue of Anguish pattern on the field, but only once per turn, so that's unfortunate. If it was like once per chain, it would have been absolutely amazing. So yeah, again, this deck was just like really close to being fantastic as a pure deck, but so I think you gotta splash another engine in the Odeon deck to make it really good. But yeah, some more Perform Mage and Trickstar cards and Golden Allure Queen. Again, the Allure Queen cards, I already messed around with them. They're really nice, but they suck. So, again, if I can just be honest with you, Perform Mage Shadow Maker is a really cool card in the Perform Mage deck if you're willing to play a lot of bricks. So you can, there is a 1-card combo where if you have the Mother Spider Splitter. You can special summon 3 baby spiders, and then you overlay for this because it's a rank 5 dark that requires 3 level 5 monsters. And the Mother Splitter Spider, whatever, it summons 3 baby spiders as level 5s. And then you go effective this, you detach Damage Juggler, and then you search for rank of magic. Damage Juggler can search anything. And then, yeah, you play from there. It's actually quite impressive, actually, what you can do with one single card. So you can get your stuff going in the deck, and then if your opponent tries to, like, Veiler this, you can chain, and then you summon another Shadow Maker from your extra deck. So, yeah, you keep on playing. That's really nice. It's the cards are kind of cool, but, again, they're not really good. So if you're trying to play this deck seriously... Okay, for the Ultra Rares now, honestly, it doesn't really get any much better, because the majority of them are just... They're more like for the casual players and the people that are trying to have fun, and not necessarily for the people that are chasing, like, you know, the top tier cards. Apophis the Serpent, it's a card that you're typically playing as a 2 or 3 of, maybe in the Odeon deck. It really depends. There might be an argument where you only play 1, because, quite frankly, this card doesn't really do much of anything. Like, ooh, you can search Embodiment of Apophis when it's sent to the grave. Too bad it sucks. And then you can also set, like, an Apophis Trap when you activate it, and then you can activate that on the same turn, which is really nice. So you can set your Swamp Deity, which can negate anything. And it is not once per turn, if I recall correctly. So yeah, you can play like 2 to 3 copies of this card and keep negating stuff over and over. Your opponent can have like Dark Ruler no more, Droplet, whatever. You can negate that, unless your opponent sends a trap for Droplet, obviously, right? Yeah, Verdict of Anubis, this card is very tough to use. You gotta have 3 or more other spells and traps. And you gotta control Temple of the Kings for the bonus effects. Just play Solemn Judgment. Just stop overcomplicating everything. Ancient Gear statue, it doesn't change the fact that Ancient Gear is Ancient Gear. Anubis the Last Judge is not a really great card because all it really does is search the Temple... No, sorry, what's the name? Man with a Mark, there we go. Yeah, if it could search like any other monster on top, then it would have been great. If it could search Man of the Mark or Merciless Scorpion of Circuit, it would have been fantastic, but... Now your deck might suffer from too much redundancy, because now if you draw like 2 Anubis and 2 Man of the Mark, you basically have like 3 dead cards in your hand. That can be very unfortunate, but yeah, it's not like the end of the world. You can always like play around those ratios. Yeah, this card's really cool. And then Molchimi Pearlia reprint, pretty nice. Trickstar Aqua Angel, this card I think is actually better in the Marinsys deck than it is in Trickstar, because obviously even though it's a Trickstar monster, it's always treated as a Marinsys card. I already talked about the new ABC cards. They're really cool, but they're not like super top tier just because of the current context, right? But there's Artifact Lancia, Bestials, etc. The Duke of Demise makes the Fiendsmith engine definitely much better, but I'll be honest with you, I do think that it's not going to matter too much because Konami is most likely going to nerf the Fiendsmith engine quite hard with this ban list. So yeah, don't expect the Duke of Demise to really change too much to the game. So far, again, there's practically nothing that really has an impact on Yu-Gi-Oh! Because most of these cards are reprints or new cards that aren't too great. But now we're going into, obviously, the collector rares are just, you know, cards that we already knew we were gonna get, but as high rarities. But the secret rares are where it gets really interesting. So I'll jump straight to the secret rares and then we'll go to the collectors. So we have a Galaxy Ice Tachyon Primal. This card is very good in tandem with Schwarzschild Infinity Dragon. And honestly, these cards are single-handedly enough to like kind of create a new semi-tier 1 deck, which is the Tachyon OTK deck. It's a really weird concept because you would probably think, oh yeah, Galaxy Eyes, right? Well, not really. It's actually like a Tachyon OTK deck. So you play 3 of this, and then you play 3/7 Tachyon, 3/7 Ascension. You maybe play like 1 or 2 copies of this, whatever. This can also search 7 Tachyon, by the way, because it is a Tachyon spell or trap card, obviously. And you also play 3 Tachyon Cloud Dragon. Yeah, there we go, this. This is also a 1-card combo. So you go normal summon this, and then Tribute is kind of like a Lone Fire Blossom in a way. So it's going to summon a Tachyon monster from your deck or graveyard. And then, yeah, you can search for this, which again searches for this, and then you activate this, and you play from there. You can also just give the Tachyon Primal to like your opponent to search this, and then your opponent has a dragon monster on the field, so that even if you control a monster, you can still go Schwarzschild Infinity Dragon on... You know, the second turn to OTK your opponent at the speed of light, you go Draglubion into Numeral Dragon, and then you kill your opponent. So yeah, the Draglubion reprint here is actually quite appreciated. Same thing with Galaxy Ice Tachyon Dragon, but yeah, this was the wrong reprint. They should have probably reprinted like the other Galaxy Eyes Xyz monsters, because they also work really well with Metaltronus. If you want to go Metaltronus target Razor Detonator, you can summon Galaxy Ice Tachyon Dragon. and then you can go for full armor photon on top, and then you detach, destroy a card your opponent controls, and then you go into Cypher Blade Dragon, detach, and then destroy another card. So your opponent can have like Razor Cross, with Razor Detonator and like an Imperm, and with one single Metal Chronist, you basically take care of everything. So it kind of behaves as a Harpy's Feather Duster and as a Widow Anchor at the exact same time. It's actually quite fantastic. Tachyon Spiral of Destruction, I tried to make that card work and it doesn't, so I honestly don't really recommend playing it. But yeah, again, back to the secret rares. Singularity Fiend, you can play this in Ubel, but I don't really recommend it. Again, it's a Fiend monster with 0 attack, 0 defense, so that's the reason why I kind of recommended that. But for this card to work, because it is a hand shop, right? When your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, you can discard this card in one spell, destroy that monster or monsters, and then you can only use this effect of Singularity once per turn. You gotta play a deck that plays a bunch of spell cards. So maybe you're playing Runic, maybe you're playing something like Witchcrafter, where the spell cards that you discard, maybe they can be recycled back to your hand or something. Maybe they can have some graveyard effects. I have no idea. I don't know what kind of deck would really try to play a card like this. If you play like a Metal Fool's Fusion, or again, other spell cards that benefit off of being in the grave, that could be nice for you. Cool story, bro, but it's not gonna be a popular hand shop. It's not gonna be a staple. Nobody has been playing it in the OCG, and obviously for a good reason, because when you're playing a huge amount of hand shops, the goal is to draw a bunch of them with your engine. So if you draw like 3 hand shops and 2 like engine monsters, that's like 5 orange cards in your hand. Singularity Fiend, if it's one of them or even 2 of them, then that's going to be 2 dead cards in your hand. And if you draw like multiple Singularity Fiend and like multiple spells, well then obviously like you're going to neg very quickly. So you go neg 2 just to like destroy 1 monster sometimes. It really just isn't worth it. More often than not, you can also just use like Veil or Ogre to really just do the exact same thing that Singularity Fiend is trying to do. Like for example, against Razor Duo Drive, like whether you use Singularity Fiend to destroy it or Veiler, Imperm, Ogre, it translates to the same. You stop the monster and then your opponent keeps making a detonator and you die anyways. But yeah, if it was like a Gamma, then maybe people would be able to justify the discard cost, but the fact that it really has to be a spell and not necessarily a spell or trap, it kind of is somewhat of a turnoff, because if it was a spell or trap, then it would have been fantastic in like Labyrinth and Eldritch. Yeah, anyways, the Man with the Mark is a secret rare, and this card is definitely a 3 of in the Odeon deck, so yeah, this is probably going to be worth a little bit of money. But not too much. Singularity Fiend is gonna drop to like 10 bucks. Nobody needs this card at all. Schwarzschild is definitely gonna start with a relatively cheap price tag, and then as soon as someone plays the Tachyon OTK deck, which again is very reminiscent of Tenpai, it might actually go up in price, and at any moment this engine could just pop off. Same thing with the Galaxy Ice Photon deck. If someone manages to do really well with the deck featuring the new support, these 2 cards could definitely go up in value, but this is a 3 of, and this is usually just a 1 of, so this will always be significantly cheaper, because you don't need as many copies. But yeah, Treasures of the Kings, this is the field spell for the Odeon deck, and this card is Insanity, completely broken, really good card, one of the best field spells I have ever read in my life. It sets a trap on activation, and also once per turn, if you got 2 or more set cards on your field, or in your grave even, that's, hold on a second, or a trap card in your grave, yeah, that's absurd. You can add a monster that mentions Temple of the Kings from your deck to your hand. Oh my god, it does so much on its own, and obviously the best card, by a significant margin, is 7 Tachyon. This is the MVP, the star of Maze of the Master, and the main way Konami can push this new product. It's really just because 7 Tachyon is a card that is necessary, I want to say, in the #1 played deck in the format, which is Pure Raziel. And this is probably the reason why Pure Raziel is going to be leapfrogging the other Raziel versions like Raziel Fiendsmith and Raziel Mitsurugi. It's because of that extra consistency. So before 7 Tachyon was around, people were playing consistency cards such as Pot of Desires as well as Small World. But those cards are not super great, right? Because they force you to just implement all of their annoying drawbacks to your deck. So for example, Desires forces you to play ratios that you don't necessarily want, because now when you banish a 1 of, then you're kind of screwed. And with Small World, you're forced to play a lot of cards that are different just so that you can have some bridge ability. But with 7 Tachyon, the only drawback, I guess you can say, is that, well, you go neg 1 from your hand, which Small World makes you neg 1 anyways, but also you gotta place like 1 or 2 cards in your extra deck. I say 1 or 2 because you only need 1 if you're trying to search level 4s, but then you need a second one if you're trying to search a main deck, potentially Artifact Lancia, because the Archfiend Seraph rank 5 is a monster that you can reveal to search Lancia, which is really broken. I can't believe that's a thing. But yeah, 7 Tachyon is incredibly good for that, and it probably will be the bane of Malice's existence now. So in a world where you can play 3 7th Tachyon, 3 7th Ascension, and 3 Artifact Lancia, that means that you have 9 Artifact Lancias post game 1 when you're going first against Malice, which means that there is pretty much like a 70-something% chance that you draw like the Truant Skip card against them, which is really bad. And it can also protect you from other things, like even evenly and stuff like that, or Metal Tronist to banish, or Call by the Grave, Bestials, whatever. It doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, there's a lot of overlap. Like, Artifact Lancia is pretty much never really bad. So even if you want to main deck one Artifact Lancia, you can do that. And the OCG, that's actually what they're doing most of the time. And sometimes when they go uninterrupted, like full combo on game 1, and it's, you know, it might be a mirror match, but maybe the player going first doesn't know it. I have seen some OCG players still go for 7 Tachyon to search Artifact Lancia, right? They don't necessarily wait until they know what deck they're facing. They don't care, right? If they have full combo and 7 Tachyon, they're just gonna say screw it. Worst case, you're not playing Malice, and I still have my full board, and I have a Lancia for like Call by the Grave and stuff like that, or SP Little Knight, and more generic cards to just banish, and it actually works out. Or even cross out Designator, you can just chain Artifact Lancia, and that's pretty good. So yeah, I really like how broken and flexible this card is. It's also really good in other decks outside of Razor. So even Exorcister, for example, can take advantage of 7 Tachyon. And then there's some other decks out there that can really play this card, like Galaxy, Photon, Tachyon, etc. So yeah, it's a really good card. It's gonna age really well. And I don't really think it's gonna get nerfed because it shouldn't be collateral damage. Like, Konami should typically just address like the actual problem cards themselves. That's also the reason why I don't feel like Bonfire should be getting hit, just because the Razor cards are more appropriate to hit instead. Yeah, that's really it for my review of Maze of the Master. Overall, I think it's a good set, but the only card that really matters is 7 Tachyon. Everything else is kind of like neglectable, or they're like nice haves for like reprints. So for example, Molchimi Perolia, either as an upgrade as a collector rare, or as a downgrade as an ultra rare so that it's easier to get for you, or other cards like Crystron Quarry on Gondrax and whatever else that might be good for you if you're on a budget. That's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that's always cool. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon with another video. Peace.